We all were just watching the Chicago Cubs versus the San Francisco Giants series, right? Meanwhile, rumor has it, and I can say we'll see what happens, but Jed Hoyer might have actually been looking at the next trade pieces for the Chicago Cubs. Let's talk about it. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss an episode of Chicago Cubs Central. Hey, guys, Chicago Cubs go ahead and take 2 out of 3 against the San Francisco Giants. Welcome back to Chicago Cubs Central. And listen, could have won today, but I figured today would be an uphill battle just because the Sunday game would be an uphill battle just because Webb is like one of the best pitchers out there really right now, and he's just on a team that's been struggling, even though they found success against the Chicago Cubs, and I believe they did win the season series against the Cubs, or they split it, one or the other, but that's neither here nor there. I'm looking at big picture here, and I'm looking at potential trade partners. That's right. And I'm looking at the Chicago Cubs. Even though Jed Hoyer has already said that the team has to play better in order for him to make trades, you got the Colorado Rockies coming in this week. You see the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend. Chicago Cubs have an opportunity to win some more games, to win another series or two before we got to face the stupid Brewers again, this time in Milwaukee, and deal with their crap. But hey, like I said, you got to play better. If you want Jed to make trades, you got to prove to him that you're worthy and deserving of making trades that will make this team better. So, with that being said, listen, the Chicago Cubs are still searching for answers, but they might have actually found an answer right there in what was going on. So, listen, the rotation has been consistent. Offense disappears for stretches, and after another frustrating series, one question has to be asked. Should Jed Hoyer make the biggest move of the season? And I'm not talking about a rental. I'm talking about going after one of baseball's most reliable aces, Logan Webb. And if you're on the phone with San Francisco, why not ask for Luis Arraez too? Could these two players be exactly what the Cubs need to make a serious push and change their fortunes in the future? Now listen, Logan Webb makes perfect sense for the Chicago Cubs. Every contender needs an ace, not just a good starter, but an ace, somebody you can hand the ball to, somebody that is going to allow you or give you an opportunity each game to come out and win that game. Now, again, the team as a whole has been struggling, right? Right. We understand this. But however, the team as a whole also, has one of the better aces on, like I said, on in the league. And so when you look at that, you say to yourself, this is an opportunity for the Chicago Cubs to get better. And this is what we're looking for. So let's look at Logan Webb's stats. So career resume, he's a 2021 All MLB first team. He's a multiple top 10 Cy Young Award finisher. Under contract through 2028 on a team-friendly deal. Now, here's his 2026 numbers. 2-4 record, a 4.82 ERA with 52 1/3 innings pitched, 47 strikeouts, and a 1.39 whip. Webb remains one of baseball's premier ground ball pitchers, plays right into the Cubs' hands, and routinely works deep into games, which is exactly what the Cubs need to protect their bullpen. He's seen through back-to-back 8-inning gems, including an 8-inning, 7-strikeout performance against the Chicago Cubs. Guys, Chicago Cubs don't just need another starter. They need a stopper. And Logan Webb is the type of pitcher who ends losing streaks and saves bullpens. So the Cubs fans know firsthand what Logan Webb is bringing. Webb just carved up Chicago again this week, throwing 8 dominant innings while allowing only 1 run and striking out 7. Does that sound familiar? Because that's exactly what the Cubs don't currently have. Imagine a playoff rotation featuring Shota Imanaga, Logan Webb, Matthew Boyd, and Ben Brown. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Actually, I would say I want somebody else rather than Shohei Imanaga, if I'm being completely honest with you. God, please, somebody else. Please, Jesus. But that's a rotation that is capable of doing something. And, you say to yourself, okay, so you're talking about the possibility of the Cubs trading for Logan Webb, but why would the Giants trade their ace? Well, here's the interesting part. San Francisco has hovered around mediocrity again in 2026, and several reports suggest expiring contracts like Luis Arraez could become trade candidates if the club sells at the deadline. Some analysts have even speculated that bigger names, including Webb, could draw interest because of their value. Let's be clear. The Giants would demand a massive package for Webb. He's under a team-friendly contract that pays roughly $20 to $24 million annually through 2028, making him even more valuable. But if you're the Cubs, that's exactly the type of aggressive move that contenders make. Prospects are great, y'all, and I've been saying this, but flags fly forever. If you really want to win, you're going to have to eventually trade out those prospects or call them up, and the Chicago Cubs are just at a logjam right now. Now, if you're going to do it, if you're going to call and ask about Webb, don't just ask about Webb. Go get Luis Arraez also. If the Cubs are serious about fixing the offense, Luis Arraez might be the perfect addition. I could easily see this man coming in and playing DHing for the Chicago Cubs. Arraez is one of the greatest contact hitters in baseball and has won 3 batting titles. I was impressed with him. What I saw him do with San Diego the year before, I was shocked San Diego did not re-sign him back. And of course, they're missing him now. Since 2022, he has led the majors in hits while rarely striking out. Let's be honest. What is the one thing the Chicago Cubs lineup lacks? Well, consistent contact. And like I said, you can look and see what's going on with PCA. You can look and see what Nico started off the season doing. You can talk about what Alex Bregman has done in the past. But Luis Arraez is doing it right now in real time for the Giants. Too often, the Cubs live and die by the home run. Arraez changes that immediately. Imagine this lineup. Luis Arraez, Nico Horner, Alex Bregman, Seiya Suzuki, Pete Armstrong, Michael Busch. That right there is enough even to see this Chicago Cubs team really begin to flourish. You put Moises Ballesteros in there, and you really got something cooking for this team. That lineup suddenly becomes a nightmare for opposing pitchers. And because Arraez signed only a 1-year deal in San Francisco, he may be one of the more realistic trade targets if the Giants fall out of contention. So what would it actually entail or cost? Now, let's be real. The Giants aren't giving away Logan Webb. A package could start with names like Jefferson Rojas, James Triantos, and additional pitching prospects. And I know it's painful, but elite pitching costs elite talent. The Cubs have built one of baseball's deepest farm systems. At some point, you have to use that depth to improve the major league roster. This could be that moment. And again, what happens? You say, okay, well, let's see what the Cubs do if they don't do this. Well, if the question is the Cubs fans should be asking is what happens if they don't act? Well, because standing pat may not be enough, the National League, guys, is loaded. The Cardinals keep winning. The Brewers keep winning. The Pirates are right there. The Chicago Cubs got to figure this out. The Dodgers aren't slowing down. The Phillies remain dangerous, and if the Cubs continue to struggle with consistency, another season could slip away. Adding Logan Webb gives you a guy that you can hand the ball to every 5th day. Could you imagine having him and having Ben Brown right now as 2 guys you can hand the ball to and know that they're going to do damage? And I'm praying to God that whatever the hell is wrong with Jameson Taillon and why he keeps giving up all these home runs, that he gets that fixed before he steps back on the mound too. But adding Logan Webb gives you an October ace. Adding Luis Arraez gives you lineup stability. Together, they could completely reshape the Cubs' chances in 2026. So, like I said, I look at this and I say to myself, especially I want to speak a little bit more about Luis Arraez. He's the contact bat that the Cubs need. Again, like I told you, he's a 3-time batting champion. He's a career .317 hitter, one of the best contact hitters of this generation. We saw it Saturday night. He literally took a half swing and got a single. There ain't nobody else on the Cubs doing that. In 2026, he has a 333 batting average, a 780 OPS, elite contact profile with extreme low strikeout rates. Arraez led the NL with 200 hits in 2025 and recorded a career best 62 multi-hit games. Guys, the Cubs have the power hitters, but what they don't have is a guy that simply refuses to strike out, that can work long counts and that can get these and get guys on base and drive in runs. So again, like I said, I just look at this and I say to myself, this just makes perfect sense for the Chicago Cubs. The Chicago Cubs can't afford to stand pat here. They have to figure out what to do next. So, Cubs fans, I want to hear from you. If you're Jed Hoyer, would you trade top prospects for Logan Webb? Would you make a trade package deal for Luis Arraez also? Or is the price just simply too high? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love Chicago Cubs baseball, make sure you like, share, and subscribe and join the Chicago Cubs Central family, because one thing is for certain. The Cubs can't afford to sit on the sidelines if they want to win now. Listen, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts. Until then, go Cubs go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.